with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
The drought is over and football season has arrived. There's a new energy in the building and expectations are high. When was the last time you checked your pulse? With a number of upgrades in multiple position groups, there are a plethora of potential breakout candidates on this Miami Dolphins team. A pre-season meeting between two teams from the Sunshine State at the end of the week will be the beginning of a highly anticipated 2022 season. Fins up, Fin fans. Now back to Charlie and Kadeem.
So, as always, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that off the bat, the background looks a bit different. If you've already noticed that in the headline, the show headline, it looks different as well. Before we really delve into what's going on at the moment, and my hands are everywhere, obviously, if you missed the last show, we announced two giveaways this month, two Go Time Dolphins giveaway. Stay tuned throughout the episode. We will once again bring those up, find out how to win a fit-to-size Javon Holland jersey, as well as a free copy of Madden 23 on a console of your choice. But before we get into all of that, boss man, how you doing?
Bro, you got to start calling me boss man.
Why?
You got to start calling me boss man. I'm good, man. I'm actually about to go to work too, though. But everything cool. Got some Dolphins news. I see you was over there gaming. You was on Madden? What you was playing?
Playing Call of Duty. I've stopped playing Madden. I can't play that game no more. So yeah, Call of Duty. I'm with my boys, just dropping kills, all that kind of stuff. It's funny. It's always sounds weird when you say you killed someone online, but playing Call of Duty, I killed someone, and the person turned around to me, no word of a lie. This is what he said: "I hope your mom died in a car crash." And I was just like, dude, it's a game. It's a game. But then I also thought, that's not even the top 10 insults I've ever heard. That's so far down the list of things someone has said to me on Call of Duty. So, yeah, man.
Bro, that's pretty dark, bro. Like, man, this is the lightest podcast that's out there, bro. You hitting us with the, dang, that's wild, man. Listen, we have some great episodes. We have some good friends that come to the podcast. We have some regulars on the podcast. We had a few Dolphin players come to the podcast, and then me and you just chop it up all the time, because if we're going to talk about the Dolphins, why not record it, right? So, yeah, what you said about the eagle eyes, audio version don't have eagle eyes. So for those listening to the audio version, we got a different setup right now because we got a guest on the show today. And this guest is one of the regs, and he's family here. And it's funny because we're gonna bring him in. Let's bring him in. It's 5YardLee. Let's not procrastinate the intro. But 5YardLee, how you doing, bro? We appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. Great to be back on. It's been a while.
Listen, Lee, bro. When I came to London last year, I can't even say last year. I guess it's about 9 months ago. It was the first time we met in person. We knew we chopped it up multiple times before we actually met in person. It didn't even feel like an actual introduction. It was almost like, yo, we kind of know each other already. No reason for the actual introduction. I had no idea that was the first time you and Kadeem met in person as well, right?
That's right.
It felt very regular. It felt like we were it felt like we were high school homies, if I'm being honest with you. So it goes without saying, man, that we always appreciate you coming on to the podcast. We always appreciate your takes, even though if they might be lukewarm sometimes. I'm just saying, we appreciate your takes. We shouted you out before, but I just want to bring you in the right way properly, since y'all from across the pond. Y'all say proper all the time. So I wanted to bring you in properly. And I wanted to congratulate you on air for your podcast, Dol-Fan UK, being officially introduced and being a part of the Miami Dolphins Podcast Network. That is what's up. Congratulations, bro. Like, I'm so happy for you. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that's already happened, but I believe this is the first time you've been on our show since you've been on the Miami Dolphins Podcast Network, the official Miami Dolphins Podcast Network. So, man, again, congrats to you. Tell us what it's like, man. Like, what's it like being on the, you know what I'm saying, on the top of the pyramid?
So first, thank you. It's awesome. Anyone that's watching this can see me smiling because it's just like a kid at Christmas. It's still a little bit crazy to actually think about it. I remember sitting here at this table one night about this time, what we're recording, about 10 past 11 here in the UK, and I actually got the final contract through from the Miami Dolphins. I felt like a player in free agency signing. It was so weird. But yeah, awesome moment. So yeah, pleased, but very pleased to be back on with you guys.
That's what's up, man. So listen, again, y'all go check out Dol-Fan UK with 5YardLee and the guys over there, man. It's a nice little listen. Officially a part of the Miami Dolphins Podcast Network. Shout out to them boys. We about to get this thing rolling and get into some season predictions and catch up on what 5YardLee thinks about our upcoming Miami Dolphins season. But it's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. I got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans, your favorite podcast. I'm trying to tell you, hey, shout out to Same Old Dolphins. We was on them. We're on their podcast. If y'all didn't see that episode, the latest episode of Same Old Dolphins, go check that out. Me and Kadeem Simmons was over there, you know, with the GTD vibes. But yeah, Kadeem, man, where you want to start today?
I feel like there's just so much to start very quickly. Yeah, again, congratulations, 5YardLee. I believe last time you was on, you was you had just told us that you was,
That's right.
you was going to join the network, but it wasn't official yet. And we was like, dude, it's all good. Like it's going to happen. So yeah, seeing the new logo and all that kind of stuff. I can say this as a UK Dolphins fan. You're living my dream right now. Like you are across the pond, my side of the pond, and you have a podcast for the Dolphins. But I think given that it's been that long since you've been on, I think the best place to start is what have you made so far of the Dolphins in training camp? Be it as a team by themselves, and obviously now playing against the Bucs.
I think there's a few things, isn't there? Like, it's so different heading into a new season with a new coach. There's a kind of apprehension. What's this new guy going to be like? And so far, man, I love every time Coach McDaniel gets in front of a microphone because he's willing to open up and talk. Doesn't give anything away, but is very insightful at the same time. So I can appreciate that. It's towing that perfect line between just giving you the boilerplate answers and actually giving you something interesting and kind of engaging with the media. And then since training camp started, man, all the reports just seem to be good. Hopefully, so far, touch wood, staying pretty healthy. I think that's the most important thing, is to get out of this and get out of the preseason healthy. But man, especially the last couple of days, I find myself sitting on my desk at work, just refreshing Twitter, hoping for clips of plays to come through. Right? It was about 2:30 in the afternoon. My boss is looking at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, bear with me, I'll be back in a bit.
Bro, listen, when I was making music and I had got a record deal, people would be like, "Hey, can you come to my studio?" and all this other good stuff. And all these people will find your phone number and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about my song? How do you think I should record and stuff?" 5YardLee. And I'll be like, it's funny because I got jokes. Well, in my professional opinion, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a professional now. And 5YardLee really get to say, well, in my professional opinion now. You know what I'm saying? But no, man. So I know you see all the clips of everything you just said. It's training camp, man. You want everyone to come out healthy. All these other teams going through injuries already. And it's not even about that, but because we know things are going to happen. That's why you prepare. That's why you have depth. And what you said about Coach McDaniel is like, man, I said on the other episode, I'm like, bro, I'm comfortable with Coach. When I see his posture walking around training camp, I'm like, oh, he knows what he's doing.
That's a man in control.
This is not someone who is overwhelmed or like, I don't know if I'm ready for the moment. This is someone who you can tell knows his way around the kitchen is how I described it. Like, nah, he knows what he's doing out there. I'm pretty sure there were times in the Kyle Shanahan regime or the Mike Shanahan regime where he thought or he came up or disguised or created plays where they're like, yo, this is too much, bro. You tripping right now. And now he's the master chef. You know what I'm saying? He gets to do whatever he wants to do. All the spices that they said don't try on this entree, he gets to try them all out right now. Yeah. So I gotta imagine this offense. And man, I'm just running off now. I ain't even ask you a question, but I remember when Coach McDaniel had a I don't know if it was the introductory conference or if it was a couple interviews later, but he explained how Chris Greer told him, hey, I got a way to get Tyreek Hill. You know what I'm saying? And then he was like, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? So I can't imagine what he's going to do with the new toys and a new look offense and all the speed that he has on the offensive side of the ball. Question is, what are you looking forward to the most, 5YardLee?
I mean, Tyreek Hill can win on his own, but imagine how exciting it is when you have someone who's a play-inventing genius like Mike McDaniel behind it. Imagine all the ways he can use that, but not just Hill on his own, but then once you throw all the other skill guys in the mix, man, Jalen Waddle's just going to ascend, isn't he? Like, he was excellent last year, and man, you just expect it to get even better this year because Tyreek Hill is going to allow that to happen. If you don't bring in a Tyreek Hill, things get increasingly harder for Jalen Waddle, and that's fine. And I'm sure he would have coped fine. But now he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to because Tyreek Hill is standing on well, I was going to say the other side of the field, but hey, they could be lined up next to each other, behind each other in the backfield. Who knows? That's the exciting part about it.
Bro, Cedric Wilson ain't a nobody. You know what I'm saying? Cedric Wilson is a real thing. Cedric Wilson is if you had Waddle, Wilson, and whatever receiver you wanted to add to that trio, that's still a decent trio. So yeah, man, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and then the mystery in what Mike Gesicki will be. What do you think happens with him now since he's going to play more inline tight end? There's reports like, yo, Mike Gesicki is blocking out here. What do you think is going to be? What do you think will come of Mike Gesicki in this offense?
I'm really glad you brought up. I'm going to take it as tight ends in general to start with. I'm glad you brought up tight ends. The beginning of the week, I said to a friend of mine, I was like, man, I'm not worried, but it's weird how you've heard nothing about the tight ends. Like, it's almost been radio silence. Nothing good, but also nothing bad. Just silence. I was like, that's just weird. That can't continue. And then you get a presser, 2 days ago, where Mike McDaniel says, the tight ends have to unlearn the old habits and they have to not be reactive and be playing essentially to not lose a rep, but they're going to attack and dictate what happens. And I think that's just not held them back as such, but it just means they're coming along slower. They're simmering rather than cooking like everybody else right now, if you want to go back to the chef metaphor. But I expect Mike Gesicki to be absolutely fine. I think they're going to just find way more interest. I think the reason you see a report where people are excited to see him blocking is because now when he's on the field, you don't know what he's doing, and
You don't
that's
know.
the key. If Mike Gesicki's on the field, he's out there to catch the ball. That's
Yep.
what he's there for. Whereas that's, I think, going to change, and I think that just adds another layer of complexity to the whole offense.
I can imagine Mike Gesicki gets 45 snaps for the first 2 games, 45 in the first game, 45 in the next game, and only gets 4 targets in each game. And now the defenses have no idea what's about to, like, yo, this man's always on the field and he hasn't gotten no targets. So now they can't think like that. And I'm gonna pass it to you, Kadeem. But we were on same old Dolphins show. Shout out to the Casker brothers. And they were saying how, yo, none of these tight ends are Mike McDaniel tight ends. None of them fit his scheme, and none of them were picked by him. He didn't bring in any tight end either. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's looks like they're going to make the roster at least. So I was just telling LB that tight end for Mike McDaniel is probably like running back for Mike McDaniel. It doesn't matter what tight end you have in the scheme. If they could block, they're going to be useful. You know what I'm saying? Because if they could do this, if they could block and catch, that's it. So you have to have the you have to have the prereqs to play tight end in Mike McDaniel's system. And we're about to find out that the rubber's going to hit the road. And Mike McDaniel brought in, he brought in Raheem Mostert and Sony Michel. I kind of want to say Chase Edmonds was kind of like a Chris Greer running back, but he was a zone scheme running back anyway. So you got to believe Mike McDaniel co-signed that when he got in. With him not picking his tight end, I'm so anxious to see how it's going to turn out. You about to say something, 5YardLee?
I just think with the tight ends, I think the whole goal is to get the best out of whoever is there. I mean, if one of us three is playing tight end, he's just going to try and maximize our skills.
Mm-hmm.
Might be slightly below the level of Mike Gesicki, but hey,
yeah,
we'll give it a good go. But
slightly.
I think the key is going to be willingness to do something. I don't think he's going to want a player to go out there and say, I don't block. You have to be willing to do it. You might not be the best at it.
Yeah.
But if you give it 100%, we can work with that.
So I'm going to throw to you, Kadeem. But right off of the back of what Lee just said, I was on this assignment, as a technician. This is years ago. And there was this person that, everybody had their job to do on this job. And some of us did more than others. And this one person just wanted to apply stickers on like the barrels, right? And the boss came around and said, listen, man, I don't have a job that says sticker applicator. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to do everything. So that just registered when you said that about tight ends. You got to be willing to do what needs to be done. Go ahead, Kadeem.
Oh, no, it's you mentioned the conversation we had with the same old Dolphins guys about tight ends, and it's funny off the back of that. So we had a conversation on Tuesday, and Adam Shaheen had just been traded away. Adam Shaheen is now back in the building because he failed a medical with the Texans, which isn't ideal, but it's not like one of those trades where he's going to come back and he might go for like a 5th or 4th or 3rd because he was like, oh my days, now we can get him. The Dolphins are going to cut him regardless. It's now just a matter of we're not going to get that pick, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. But we've also had, I believe it was Tyreek Hill on day 2 of the joint practice with the Bucs, say that he wants Mike Gesicki to be his new Kelsey, basically. He was like, I need you to be my best friend. I need you to basically have what I had back in Kansas City. So, and I believe there was also a tweet from a Dolphins beat writer who said that the Dolphins were running the ball successfully with not only Teron Armstead at left tackle, but Mike Gesicki on the field blocking, which now obviously right now it's just joint practice, but this is joint practice against a Bucs defense, which is an absolute stud unit. And again, it's only August, but if the signs are looking good in training camp, that Mike Gesicki can block. And he's not going to become, the best blocking tight end in the league. But again, like you guys said, just be adequate. Just be good enough where if you're on the field, the defense is going to, legitimately respect that we're going to run the ball so we can basically do whatever we want. So listen, tight end is such an intriguing prospect. Some people believe that Durham Smythe might be tight end number 1 this year, simply because he's a better blocker and he's not that bad at catching. Other people might be Hunter Long, given that Hunter Long is, I guess, the youngest and probably the easiest to break down and retrain, given that he hasn't been that long in the NFL. But when you've got hands like Mike Gesicki, when you are, a top 5 tight end without the blocking, if you can add some blocking in there, then again, the biggest question around Mike Gesicki, and Lee, I'll ask you, what do the Dolphins do? So we discussed it on our last episode. What do the Dolphins do around the trade deadline? Mike Gesicki probably isn't going to stay around, to a long-term contract. Do the Dolphins trade him and try and get something back in return, or do they just stick with him and lose him in free agency?
I think in that situation, you stick and lose him in free agency. Because the intention is for the team to be good. And if the team is going to be good, then it's more important to have him for the rest of the season playing on the field. Because at the trade deadline, you're probably not replacing someone of Mike Gesicki's talent with equal talent. So in that case, write it out.
Here's my thing though. We don't have to just lose him to free agency, bro. I really think we could tag him again next year and trade him. We could tag him next year, tag and trade next year, and then get something for Gesicki. Excuse me. Excuse me. So what I think is we get this first year of the franchise tag with Gesicki, and then next year this year will determine what we do with him next year. Are we going to sign him long term? Does he step up and he's able to make these blocks, or is he not able to make these blocks? And McDaniel says, you know what, I can find something cheaper, you know what I'm saying, and still get half of this production, right? It depends on Coach McDrip, right? So, and anyone wondering about the Shaheen details, all right, usually when you trade someone, you save dead cap money. All right. If you cut someone, it probably hits your dead cap a little harder. In the Adam Shaheen case, and this is more often than not, well, not more often than not, but this happens sometimes. Moving on, trading Shaheen would save us $1.8 million on the cap. Cutting Shaheen would save us $1.8 million on the cap. So it works out to where this is it. We just basically try to acquire a 6th-round pick. We could still cut them and still have our $1.8 million saved and only accrue $333,000 of dead cap, which is nothing really. You gonna say something, 5YardLee?
I was just gonna say, going back to Gesicki, I think the whole goal here is that we get to the end of next season and he's played well enough that it makes a franchise tag look cheap. Oh, that's the goal. I mean, if he gets to go into negotiations next year with Chris Greer and demand top tight, mega tight end money,
I'm not gonna lie.
That I think we'd be happy.
I think a lot of people would be happy if we tagged them twice.
Yeah,
that's the Kirk Cousins method, right? Kirk Cousins like, all right, tag me again. You know what I'm saying? And if you keep tagging me, eventually I'm gonna cash out, and then some other team's gonna sign me, and I'm gonna get the big contract. So. And I told Kadeem 2 episodes ago, I'm like, bro, no one would shed a tear if we win the Super Bowl and Mike Gesicki has to go to another team. He's going to be happy that he won his Super Bowl. Not only will he be happy that he won a Super Bowl, he's going to be happy that he won a Super Bowl with his friends. You know what I'm saying? Like here in Miami. And you know what? We did it, fellas. I'm out. I'm going to go chase this bag. That's ultimately what would happen. But yeah, man, I'm not opposed to tagging Gesicki twice too, and that's on the table. And I'm surprised we never brought that up. But let's go into this Tampa preseason preview. What do you think we see, if anything? Are we keeping it very simple, very vanilla? Will there only be 20 plays that we're running on offense, and we're just going to run them out of different formations? Or what do you think we see in preseason, Lee?
I've flip-flopped on this for the last few days because everything in my head tells me no, I don't think we see the starters. I mean, there's certain guys that I don't imagine you see at all. I can't imagine we see Teron Armstead playing in a game before week one. Sorry. The only thing that gives me doubt is we've heard Tua and Connor Williams are having to work extra hard on getting the snapping down and getting it correct. I wonder if we see some game action because they need the extra reps together. That's my only caveat, because I think the whole point of having joint practice is you get to control the reps more. You get to control what's actually happening in regards to plays run. Look, if you go 3 and out, you can continue on offense in practice because you're dictating what happens. That's fine. You're dictating the situation. And I think that's why this is far more important than the game is going to be on Saturday night, which is tough for anyone here in the UK who's going to be staying up to watch it at midnight. But I think that's why you do this. This is why you have 2 days of camp together.
What's you got, Kadeem?
If you listen to what Coach McDaniel has said, he's feeling good, or to quote him, he's okay with Tua not playing in this preseason game. And I think especially the way joint practices have developed and evolved over the last few years, they now basically have become preseason games. You have a couple of 7-on-7s, 11-on-11, 1-on-1 drills, and actually, guys, that's it. We're good. The preseason game has basically become, reps for the second team, the third team, and I think especially at center, it may be worth saying, we really need to see if there's a backup center. I believe Michael Dieter returned this week. But is there anyone else? So I don't think we'll see Tua. If we do see Tua, it literally might be the opening series like that. And sometimes sometimes it's like, we've gone 3 and out, we'll do a second series. I think it literally it's one series, regardless of what happens. If Tua comes out and throws an interception, that's it. Like, that is all you're going to see and stuff like that. So I think you can say something?
I was just like Coach said this morning, didn't he? It's everything's going to be decided on a player-by-player basis, and it's going to be based on what happens in camp. By all accounts, the offense seemed to be performing at a high level today. That probably gets them the game off.
Yeah.
Had it gone the other way, had practice not been as satisfactory, then maybe we see it. And that's where, I've been flip-flopping the last few days. Is this...
Yeah, I was in a Twitter space just before I jumped in here with Innes, who was on the show previously. And one of the guys in the Twitter space, his name is Wally Caldazzo. He's been at camp, and he said the offensive line have looked great. He said Austin Jackson has looked great, and he says the snaps between Connor Williams and Tua actually haven't been that bad. Yeah, it's not ideal, it's not perfect, but I think that kind of goes to what you just said, that it might not be perfect right now, but it's not so desperate that you guys need, to play the preseason game. Charlie, for you, obviously we discussed, the corner battle between Noah and True Williams and how Noah looked like he'd kind of made some kind of leap, and then he goes up against the Bucs, and it seems that he's just getting burnt over and over again. Is there something you're concerned about, or is it a matter of this preseason he's been up against Julio Jones, Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill? Getting burnt by those three isn't the end of the world. Like, most guys are going to get burnt by those three.
I think the fact that 5YardLee just had to say, or since you said the snaps haven't been that bad, and you had to add the word that means they're not great. And I also think, to 5YardLee's point, there's something to be said about being in our own practice, in our own training camp, and the snaps not being good. There's more to be said when it's against a different team in a scrimmage setting and the snaps not being good. It's too alarming for me. This is not where you have a 2-year window and you want to jeopardize one of them because you didn't want to go get a center. And I'm going to get to your question, Kadeem. So I think we need to address center. Whether I'm dead serious, like, we cannot afford to play around with center and jeopardize a whole window, a whole season, and with bad snaps or snaps that are questionable. We call them questionable snaps. All right. So if you go against Tampa in practice and they're messing around with the center and his snaps aren't being that good, what happens in an actual game setting? I don't know if we want to go that far. So I'm willing to spend draft capital to go get a center right now and put Connor Williams back in at guard. So with you, Kadeem, about Noah, I told you, bro, it was just a morale boost. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff that was coming out in camp. Oh, Noah looks like he may have turned the corner. Yeah, Noah's got the tough covers in Tyreek Hill. If I'm the coach, Noah, you're only gonna be on Waddle and Hill the whole offseason, because you're not gonna run across these boys in the regular season. So you should have gotten a little bit better. But he hasn't, Kadeem. Like, I'm like looking at some of these clips, and I'm like, all right. And I don't like to do this, but I'm gonna do it this time. I never played on a professional level. Never. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna play around. I have played on a high school level. And I played football my whole life. My whole family are football heads. I've coached football. My brothers still coach football. I'm gonna be a football coach one day. I aspire to be a GM. Some of the mistakes that Noah is making, bro, are elementary mistakes as far as it comes to a corner. Like, bro, this is corner 101. You know what I'm saying? Open your hips. Corner 101. Look back for the ball. Stuff like that, right? There was one clip that came out recently, and I'm like, this is a one-on-one scrimmage setting. There's only so many things that can happen in a one-on-one scrimmage setting. And for the fact that you look not that good in this setting is very concerning to me. So I think Noah is not coming along as good as we would hope, but I also think there's still a chance. It's not a good chance. And if I'm a betting man, which I am, I would not bet on Noah no time soon. That is not a shot. It's just reality. And when it comes to our third corner on the team, I'm gonna defer to Nick Needham as opposed to Noah.
Lee, what do you think?
I think it's great that we have so many corners to choose from. Like let's be honest, right? We've seen nothing but clips of Needham coming out, breaking up plays. We hear that Trill Williams is making great strides. All this is being said, Byron Jones hasn't hit the field yet.
Yeah.
I know I've said it here and I've said it on our podcast a million times. For me, Byron Jones is just one of the most underrated players in the NFL.
Hey, that's why you my dog, Lee. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to be the only one saying it.
I'm just such a huge Byron Jones fan, and it just fills me with joy every time I hear Coach say the only thing we're interested in is making sure Byron is ready for week 1, because that's all that matters. You don't need to force him out in a preseason game. If he needs to build fitness, that's also fine. But the important thing is not losing him for an extended period of time because you put him in too soon. And we've seen that happen across the NFL. Every year it happens with players. So that feels like it's almost an embarrassment of riches in the back end of the defense.
Yeah. It seems like Ian Costin had himself a good day as well. The thing with Noah, and if you watch the clips, it's the same issues he had in year 1 and year 2 when he actually saw the field. He just has no ball instincts. Like when he's stride for stride with a receiver, and again he's really, really quick, so that's not really his issue. The receiver turns and Noah's still looking straight ahead, and then the receiver's caught the ball, and then Noah's like, "Oh, I should have turned my head by now." And I think it's one of those things where we all believe that with the additions at coach, at DB coach, and his third year, and like you said, you've gone up against Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. If you're going to make a jump, it's going to be now. And it seems that he may have been okay in practice against Waddle and Hill, when there was a few reports from beat writers saying that he's actually looking like he's improved. But I think I don't even know who the wide receiver is, but there's one wide receiver and a one-on-one scrimmage drill against the
Routed
Bucs.
them up.
It wasn't even a good route. It wasn't.
Bruh, I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like that's not supposed to happen in a one-on-one setting. But I really don't want to. I really don't, bro. I really don't want to do this, bro. But yeah.
Very, very quickly then. I'm going to say it at the start of the episode. Completely forgot. Shout out to friend of the podcast, Austin Jackson. It's his birthday. Hope he had an amazing day, and it's great to hear that he's solidifying his position at right tackle. Because again, going up against this Bucs front seven, it could have gone nasty. And the fact that in the 11v11s, it sounded like the Dolphins defensive line is more than holding their own. And I don't think I've heard a single report from anyone who said that Austin Jackson has been embarrassing. So fingers crossed it stays that way as training camp continues. So friend of the podcast, Austin Jackson, happy birthday.
That's why it's important to go against another team, because you only practice against yourselves and you're in that small bubble. If your offense is always winning, is that because your offense is good or because both sides of the ball are bad but the defense is really bad? You don't want to find that out when you start playing other teams. If you get the opportunity to do that earlier in the preseason, GMs across the league will be looking at their squads now saying, okay, I've made a mistake here, but it's time to fix it before the season starts. And that's important. That's why it's such a great thing to see. The reports have stayed the same since they've traveled up to Tampa.
Go ahead, Kaneem.
Do you mind if I quickly share something once my computer starts not being slow? It's a quote from Shaquille Barrett after going up against the Dolphins defense. I was going to share it, but it looks like computer issues. But he has said on the Dolphins offense and playing them in practice, they do a lot of misdirection stuff and make you have to have great eyes. If you're looking in the wrong spot, you could get out of position, and they use that as an advantage. One game with the reaches and the wide runs and all the motions in the run game and the passing game too is the same. It's just nothing straightforward. You have to be in your P's and Q's, on your assignments, and on your keys so we can execute. I think they're going to have us prepared for the season this year because we have to be disciplined and be able to go against them and have a good game against them. And again, that's exactly what we want to hear coming out of this. Again, there's some clips of like an intermediate route to, I believe it's Tyreek Hill, and Tua puts it right on the money. There's another clip where Cedric Wilson isn't even on screen and he comes out of nowhere. even the Bucs defense are like, where did this dude come from? Like, it makes no sense. It's the fact that there's, again, it's always good to have praise from the beat writers, because even though they've been negative over the past few years, it's hard to be negative with this team. But to hear an opposition player come out and say, we can't keep up with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, this offense is just misdirection after misdirection. Again, I said this the other day, it's like the Dolphins offense has finally, entered 2022 after being years of stuck, like the early 2000s.
I mean, you didn't even mention Carlton Davis. The best corner on Tampa said there aren't any other receivers in the league that can do what they can do. We're talking about Hill and Waddle. So, man, we kind of thought this was going to be a thing. And for my dollar, we have the best receiving core in the league now. We went from actually probably one of the worst receiving cores in the league to the best receiving core in the league. I don't see any other. I don't see anybody else. Even with a healthy Bucs receiving core, I think we're better than them. Even with Cincinnati, I think we're better than them now. 5YardLee, what can we expect in the season coming up? What is something you think is under the radar, maybe that you want the fans to look out for? Like, hey, look out for the Dolphins to do this or be this. What do you think we're not talking about enough?
I think especially the last 2 days of practice, it's almost been a little bit quiet. I think the thing to expect is excitement. It's okay to be excited this year.
I'm trying to tell you.
It's okay. I mean, for years, you go into camp, and like every fan base in the NFL thinks their team is going to Super Bowl once you get to training camp. It's that time of year. But now the team are backing it up on the field with practice. They're heading in the right direction. They've got infinitely better across the board. The depth is now there at a lot of positions. How many times have you come into a Dolphins camp and you see reports that come out and they say this player and this player are not on the same page, but it's okay. It's early in camp. They're going to get there. From day one, the quarterbacks and receivers have been on the same page. They've been hitting big plays. They've been consistent. And I say that not just about QB1, but about all three guys. Skylar Thompson sounds like he's making strides. I'm excited to see him play. This is a difficult thing about being across the pond and not being able to get to a training camp session. We've seen we can only go off college tape with Skylar Thompson. It's going to be excited to see him for extended time.
So yeah, with this preseason game, you're going to get a lot of Skylar Thompson. I can promise you that. Like we're going to see a lot of that.
So I had a question for you. If you don't intend on playing Tua in a preseason game, do you play Teddy Bridgewater for an entire half because he gives you a better ability to assess, let's say, the twos?
Depends on how comfortable you are with Skylar Thompson, because still Teddy Bridgewater is at risk now of injury. Yeah. So it's a preseason game, and you might not want to expose your backup quarterback going into the season if you're not comfortable with Skylar Thompson. So we might see 3/4 of Skylar Thompson, if I'm being honest with you. You might see two and hold on, did we got anybody else other just Skylar Thompson? Is there one more red jersey out there? I think I only seen 3, but I know I put y'all boys on the spot. But if there's somebody else behind Skylar Thompson that's just a camp arm, we'll probably see him in the fourth quarter. But nah, man, that's a great question, and I think you don't see too much of Teddy either. And it's because you want all your weapons available, bro. Teddy Bridgewater is a top 25 quarterback in the NFL, and he's on our team too. So he's not even just 32 or 33, 34. He's a top 25 quarterback in the NFL. We have 2 top 25 quarterbacks in the NFL. So nah, man, I'm not throwing Teddy to the wolves just because. But I expect to see a lot of Skylar Thompson in the preseason. I expect to see some Tua within the next couple of weeks in preseason. Not just we're not going to roll them out into the regular season, but we're going to see some live action from Tua eventually in the preseason. What do you think?
I think we see him for sure. I think if nothing else, you have to run through the process of coach getting plays into the quarterback. You can't go into week one having never called a play into the quarterback. I say you can't do that. Of course you could do that. I don't think he will do that though. I know he said in his presser today that he's called plays in the box, he's called plays in the field. But this time he's going to be calling his plays into his quarterback. Things are different. You need to make sure we've seen in the past if the mechanics of that aren't right, it slows everything down and becomes a problem. So I think they at least make sure they've got that down beforehand, even if we don't see Tua a lot.
You got anything else for 5YardLee, Kadeem?
Just once again, thank you so much for joining us. Again, so proud that you're in that part of the Miami Dolphins network. It's amazing. And I'm not going to steal Charlie's bit, so I'll let Charlie, see us out and ask you for all your details and stuff like that.
This guy. Hey, tell everybody where they can find you, 5YardLee.
Hey, you can find me at 5YardLee on Twitter and at the Dol-Fan UK podcast. But hopefully you can find me regularly on here with you guys.
Hey, man, look at this, boy. I feel the love, boy. I feel the love, man. Listen, y'all come on over to Go Time, bonus time. I'm tripping. Y'all come on over. I fumbled the snap. Y'all come over to bonus time with us. We're going to get 5YardLee's prediction on if the Dolphins go to the playoffs, what their record may or may not be. And we're just going to top it up a little bit more. But we appreciate y'all rocking with us. Kadeem's going to tell you guys about the Go Time giveaways. And y'all stay positive. Test negative for Kadeem Simmons, 5YardLee, Dol-Fan UK, Miami Dolphin Podcast Network. I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. All right.
Lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time.
Dolphins giveaways. Go time Dolphins giveaways. Had quite a lot of response so far, which is always good. So you don't want to miss out. For the Jalen Waddle fit to size jersey giveaway, all you have to do, it really is just simple. Email your shirt size to gotimedolphins@gmail.com.
Jersey size.
Did I say shirt size?
Yeah.
Yes, that's an English thing. We wear,
That's it, yeah.
we wear like football shirts.
That's a football shirt. That's the way it is.
I'm just saying, like, I may wear a different jersey size than I wear a shirt size. I'm just saying.
And no, listen, that's the the soccer in me coming out. I have Dolphins shirts, jerseys. So email your Dolphins jersey size to gotimedolphins.com. gotimedolphins@gmail.com. Now I'm following the snap.
Hey, look. All right, look. We want to be fair for the giveaway. Tell them how they could participate in the giveaway, Kadeem.
Email us your jersey size at gotimedolphins@gmail.com. Perfect snap. There we go. For the Madden 23 giveaway, all you have to do is email us your Dolphins pre-season prediction, whether they go 0-3, 2-1, 1-2. And again, email that to gotimedolphins@gmail.com. So 2 different giveaways, but both email addresses is the same. It's gotimedolphins@gmail.com. Before I throw it to 5YardLee for these season predictions, 5YardLee, what do you do with Preston Williams and Lynn Bowden, and what do you ask for the Bears in return?
I don't know, man. It's a tricky one. It's a lot of this is going to come down, isn't it, to staying healthy through these next 3 games. They're actually going to get a chance to make a case in a game, because it sounds like with coaches' shorter practices, the reps are limited the further you go down the depth chart. So, hey, if you want to make a case to stay, or if you want to make a case to go somewhere you want, ball out.
I can't imagine Preston staying on this team no more. I can't imagine you only played 8 games total in the previous 3 seasons. 8 games in the first, 8 games in the second, 8 games in the third. Then you say something like this, upset the apple cart and the harmony of the locker room potentially, and you remain on the team. Now you're going to be going up against like the backups. You feel me? So I can't imagine it.
So yeah, but before you do shoot off, 5YardLee, how do you think the Dolphins do this season? Playoffs, record, all that kind of stuff.
Playoffs. I'm super bullish on the team, man, and it's not
the Kool-Aid.
It's every day I have a conversation with a friend of mine who works in the betting industry, and I say to him, "Tell me I'm not being biased. Take the bias out of it. What do you genuinely think?" And I genuinely think this team is very, very good. I mean, I thought they'd win 12 games last year, right? And I was wrong. And I got no problem saying I was wrong. I think they were good enough to win 12 games last year. And I think they're infinitely better this year. On paper, this team was a lot better. Continuity on defense is key. And I can only see the offense being better. I just don't see any way the offense is the same or worse than last year.
Over, under 11 wins.
Over.
All right.
No doubt.
We got 5YardLee on the record for over, under. He got him over 11 wins and the playoffs. And I second this, 5YardLee. I'm going to be real with you. We went on a 7-game losing streak last year. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not going to happen this season. So
in a bunch of one-score games as well.
Yeah.
They could easily have flipped the other way.
Man, I bring it up all the time on this podcast, and I ended up hitting it on the head one time, and Kadeem stat check, and I was right. So I don't want to throw a year out there again. But I remember when the Chargers win a season where they had about 7 games and they won 7 games that were 1-score games by like less than 6.
Yep.
And they won them. And they may have won 13 games that season. And in the very next season, they lost about 7 games that were 1-score games. And that's the difference. So nah, man, we can't lose to Jacksonville. You know what I'm saying? We can't lose to Atlanta. You can't do stuff like that and then expect to get in the playoffs. And we were still 1 game out. So nah, man, we're gonna be good. I didn't give my prediction yet. I gave way too early prediction. So we'll save it for closer to the regular season. And matter of fact, we got a bet episode. We have a betting episode coming out here on Go Time Dolphins 5YardLee, where I'm gonna lay out all the bets to take and all the bets to stay away from. So if you stayed on this long in bonus time, that episode is coming up. I'm not sure how soon. I imagine it's within the next few episodes. We're gonna have the easy money episode. It's gonna be called Easy Money. This is easy money. What bets you want to take for the Dolphins, the season-long bets you want to take, the player props you want to take, the over-unders you want to take. Can you put money on Coach McDaniel, Coach of the Year? We'll find out on Easy Money. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, that's all I got, man. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.